You want to be a young boss, but your sales are stuck. You're burned out trying to find the right people, and you end up doing all of the work yourself. You're bleeding money, and you're fighting to keep your business afloat. I've been there. I'm Isabelle Burino, and I've scaled businesses to millions, and I've watched ideas burn to the ground. And I know exactly what it takes to survive and win. This is Young Boss, the podcast that helps you break through the barriers standing between you and the business you deserve, where youth is your power. You plan your meetings, your launches, your goals, but do you plan around your body? This might be the productivity biohack that can change your business. Stacy Gay doesn't just run a business, she syncs it to her cycle because peak performance isn't 24/7. It runs on a rhythm. In this episode of Young Boss, we're unpacking how syncing your schedule to your cycle can skyrocket creativity, protect your peace, and help you build a calendar that prints money and respects your energy. Spoiler, your calendar is a cathedral. Let's make it sacred. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here. I know we have talked about today's topic, offline, and I thought some of our listeners are going to want to hear about this. So today we're going to dive into cycle syncing and how we can use this in business, because I think a lot of times when we think about it, talk about it, it's from a fitness perspective. Mm-hmm. I see the videos all the time. Oh, you're in luteal phase. You should do this workout or, whatever it is. But no one ever taught me how to use cycle syncing for business until you and I chatted about it. So we're going to dive into this. But first, can you just share with everyone listening, what is cycle syncing?
So I am not an expert on this, let me just say, but it seems like everyone comes to me and asks me this question. Yes. So it is basically cycling so as women, we have the day we start our cycle. Yep. And we have a 28-day cycle. Okay. And our hormones go through
ups
a wave.
And downs, yeah.
And so it's simply syncing your schedule to your cycle. Okay. And we have different peaks and valleys. So like week 1, we're tired.
Okay.
And we're a little bit more moody.
Okay.
And maybe even leading up to it, week 1 and week 4, we're a little tired, a little bit moody.
Yeah.
And so I use that as I don't do podcasts.
Okay.
I am not trying to be on stage. I am not trying to be public because my energy is lower.
Okay.
Week 2 and week 3 are really good times to do podcasts, stage, your creative, filming.
Okay.
All of that.
Yeah.
2 and 3, week 1. Week 4, less if you can.
Okay. What should you do on week 1 and 4?
Well, what I do is week 1 is reflection.
Okay.
So I do a lot of, what worked, what didn't work, what am I processing through, what am I frustrated with? I don't know about you, but week 1, filters are lower.
Okay.
I got less filters on it, so it can come up for you.
Yeah.
And so I use that week to really sit with what's coming up for me.
Yeah.
And I have a journal prompt that I've been using for probably 15 years.
Oh, wow.
I call it my truth in the trigger.
Okay.
So you know how you can get triggered?
Yes.
By things like the employee didn't do what they said they were going to do, the client is a PETA, the deal fell through, whatever it is. Yeah. And that triggers something. It's like, oh man, they should have done this, or I should have done that, or why did this fall through, or this process is breaking down, or the system isn't working. And I try to use that time to find my truth in the trigger. So what am I making it mean? Okay. What story am I telling myself about it? And how am I enabling it in my own behavior? And what is trying to be transmuted through me?
Okay.
And so I use that for week 1.
Okay.
And then week 2 and week 3 I usually have so much clarity coming out of week 1. Oh. So I use it for creative output, like writing, newsletters, recording, stage, creating presentations, all of that stuff that we do. Yeah. Even new product launches. So if you're thinking of creating a new service or new offering, I use that time. And then week 4, if my energy is still kind of solid, I'll just do it routine GSD. So things that you need to get done that you just need to bang out. Okay. I use that for week 4.
Okay. So with this flow and how you're building your work, I can see for a solopreneur, you're using an app. Are there preferred apps that you like to use?
I use Clue. There are other ones. I think there's like Flow and other ones. You can actually share them with your team.
Okay.
So your chief of staff or your executive assistant. Yeah. As a female. Yeah. My team is female.
Okay.
And I think your core leadership.
It's mostly female. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just let them see it.
Yeah.
And then they can block my calendar based on what my cycle is.
What if something comes up that's a big presentation or a big stage moment and it's on one of the wrong weeks? Is there like a protocol you've set in place to say, you have to ask me about this first?
Yes. And I think that there's moments where you just do it.
Yeah. You just are mentally prepared. That,
you're
like,
mentally prepared.
This is going to be my best.
Yes.
Okay.
And so actually I'm going into a season like this. So I'm going to Canada. I'm doing a 3-day. And then I'm going to Montreal to do a week with my EO group.
Okay.
And then I'm meeting another guy there who is a 2-time Emmy winner. And we're working on this visionary thing together.
Okay.
And I'm about ready. It'll be in week 1, the end of week 1. And I was like, oh, dang it.
Yeah.
But it fell on that time. So then I was like, okay, how can I prepare myself for that?
Okay.
And so the time leading up to it is less scheduled. So I can be more rested, have more reserves in my tank, be more clear from maybe the tabs that are open in my mind or the things that I want off of my plate or off my radar.
Okay.
So that when I do show up there, all of my energy can be allocated towards that versus having anything dangling.
Okay. There's 1,000,001 questions I have. So you share it with potentially, if you're a solopreneur, you're just doing this for yourself. You're blocking things as needed or preparing yourself as needed. Mm-hmm. If you have a team, maybe you're sharing it with your chief of staff, your assistant, your whoever it may be, to say, hey, kind of look at this. You teach them what it means, and then let's schedule accordingly. If things pop up, maybe ask me or whatever protocol you want to set in place. Do you also want to know their cycles? Like, will that help you?
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of maintenance. I don't.
You don't. You're like, I'm the boss. You need to know mine. I don't care about yours.
I don't, but they are welcome to follow it.
Okay.
That would be kind of cool if they did.
Because that was my question, is like, okay, what if we have like 10 girls? Are we all doing this? And then people are like, sorry, I can't get that project done this week. And I'm like, no, that's your job. Is it more about just you for yourself doing this?
I think the overarching thing is when I've built my business.
Yeah.
And I built a lot of different businesses and helped a lot of other entrepreneurs build their businesses, I've recognized a pattern. And I'm a systems person. So I see patterns and I recognize that we bulldoze our bodies and we prioritize our brain. And so what I started to recognize is I'm doing that to myself. I'm operating my body, my human, as a robot. And I'm just showing up every day. I'm getting up at 5 a.m. I'm doing 75 hard. I'm hustling through every part of my life. And I'm forgetting that I have a body. And so I kept circling around different calendar systems to figure out how can I remember I have a body.
Yeah.
And I would do like 90-day programs or 75-day programs or 30-day programs. And I kept vacillating between them. And I was like, God gave us a natural cycle. Yeah. We have a natural 27, 28, 29-day cycle. I'll just sync it with that because that's already biologically built in.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was about remembering I'm a human and I'm a human vessel that is building a business. And so I had to just reconnect with my human.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's an invitation for anybody to do that, whether they're the leader or a team member, to remember that you have a body. And when I started remembering that and coordinating my schedule to be that way, my output during my week 2 and week 3 was so high.
Wow.
If all I did was work during week 2 and week 3, my output is through the roof.
Wow.
And some of the mistakes or the shortness that have happened on week 1 and week 4 are eliminated, and I don't have to clean up those messes.
So when we talk about shortness, because I often do find myself as a female boss, some weeks I will be so pissed off at someone for something that they did, something that they said, some KPI they missed. And I'm just like, that's it. We need to let them go, right? And then we set the meeting for the following week. And on that meeting, I'm not mad anymore. I'm like, it's not so bad. Just let it go. What were we so mad about anyways? And I find myself doing that. And then I say, am I crazy? Like, what is wrong with me? Are there better weeks to hire or fire people?
I don't make any decisions on week 1.
Okay.
None. I don't launch a new program.
It's like Mercury's in retrograde.
Yes,
no decisions.
We're not doing this. Yes, I'm going to regret whatever decision I made.
Okay. No decisions on week 1.
I would say week 2 and week 3 are your best decision
making.
Weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, major. Now, I want to also address men in this, okay? Because obviously they don't have a cycle in the way that we do, but how could either a male employee or even a male in your life, say a partner, is your partner aware of your cycle? And are there certain things that he knows? Hey, I can talk to her about this then?
Maybe I need to work on that aspect of it. But men have their cycles.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
So I'm not a male body,
okay.
But what I have heard is they have it in 24 to 72 hour cycles. So they'll actually experience, like testosterone is higher for them in the morning.
Okay.
And then it goes down. So they still have their own protocols that they're invited into if they really connected back to their bodies. Mm. And so I probably could evolve in my integration with other bodies,
yeah,
if you will. But I think knowing yourself is key.
Okay.
And I think one of the things that I have maybe has been a learning or growth area in my life is not managing other people's humans for them. Mm. Like you manage your human, I'll manage my human.
Yep.
And let's learn ourselves really, really well. And then let's communicate from that place.
Okay.
Versus me trying to manage everything, which is normal. I mean, as a leader, you want to control a lot of things. But I think if I just share the wisdom, there's wisdom in your body, there's wisdom in your team's body, there's wisdom in your spouse or significant other's body that they can tune into.
Yeah.
And I'm responsible for me and how I show up, and you're responsible for you and how you show up. And I can model it. I can lead by example. I can share my aspect of it. Mm. But I haven't really said, hey, here's this, manage me based on this.
Yeah. Okay. I understand that now. It's more of like you're just aware of it. Mm-hmm. So if he brings you something on a off week, it might be like, I want to talk about this. Let's save it for next week, or let's save it for date night or whatever. Cause time goes so quickly. Mm-hmm. So, okay. Instead of being like, you should probably monitor me.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I love that. I did not know men's cycles were so quick. So it's within basically a day or two.
That's what I've heard.
Wow.
So, maybe some of the men listening can comment and tell us if
Let us know what your cycle is. Okay. I think that sometimes cycles can be weaponized. And I think that I have been in business situations where a male in the room has literally said, she must be on her period this week. And it's like, first of all, how dare you say that, right? And all of a sudden it just triggers you, right? Mm-hmm. But most of the time you're even not. It's usually like the week before, the week after, right? But it is something that can be weaponized. So how do you kind of protect this in a sense of maybe you're using this new system and yes, you want other people to potentially be involved, but not monitoring, but you don't want it to be turned against you that like, oh, this is her bad week or whatever,
I love this question. Not for the details of the question, but actually the root of it.
Yeah.
So I was at a dinner the other day and it was all women. We were sitting around the table and we were having a conversation of not being allowed to bring our full selves to the boardroom. Mm. And I said, why do you feel like you can't bring your full self to the boardroom? And they said, well, I'll be rejected or it won't be accepted or I'll be shamed. Mm-hmm. And I said, I bring my full self to the boardroom. Every boardroom that I'm in, I bring my full self. Certain aspects aren't appropriate, right? It's really appropriate to wear a bikini to the beach, but if I wore that into church, it'd be a little weird.
Yep.
So there's aspects of me that you don't see,
yep,
but I bring my full self. And there is no shame in a cycle.
Yeah.
And the fact that somebody would be shaming you for the cycle is confessing their own judgment about things. And I believe judgment is a confession. Complaining is a confession. If you feel so uncomfortable with the female anatomy that you feel like you have to put it in a container to feel safe around it, to try to control it, that's revealing a lot about you, very little about me. My body was designed this way. I have zero control over it, really.
Yeah.
It's a chemical factory that happens every 28 days. And if you want to shame me for that biology, take it up with the man upstairs because I did not create this.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a really cool way to turn the perspective of it. And it's so true. It's just like anything in life, right? If someone's saying something negative to you, 99% of the time it's their thought, their feeling, something they're dealing with. And it's just like, it has nothing to do with you. So I like that reframe. I think that's really important. When you're looking at an app, right, and you're using that, are you literally like pulling that up next to your work calendar?
I do.
You do?
Sometimes, actually, I have one calendar. So I have a lot of calendars.
Okay.
I'm known for saying if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist.
Yes.
And so I have my ideal calendar.
Okay.
And that I can click on or off. So if you use Google Calendar or iCloud Calendar, you can have multiple calendars. You don't just need one. And so I can click, I have one that's called cycle syncing.
Okay.
And so it tracks my cycle. And so I can click it on to see, okay, where do I want to schedule things? And then I can just click it off when I don't want it clouding my calendar and I just want to see what my productivity is for that week or that month. So I program it in at the start of every cycle.
Okay.
And it'll open up a 28-day cycle.
Wow.
And so that lets me kind of sync it up.
Yep. Okay, I love it. Strategically, do you think that this, I know you've said, hey, it made me more productive in those 2 weeks, but I also think that something important was in that week 1 where you're saying, no, that's where I get my clarity. That's where I answer the questions. That's where I get these things done. My mind just goes to, how the heck would I schedule all this stuff that seemingly has to get done in this time frame? Was there a moment when you started doing this where you felt that same overwhelm?
Well, I think I operated a lot of my life in putting so much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
And then I got really, really sick. I got mercury poisoning, 2 herniated discs in my neck. I had lost like 20 pounds.
Wow.
And my body, I think our bodies speak to us if we're willing to pause and listen.
Yep.
And I think there's power in the pause.
Yeah.
And so I took a little bit of a sabbatical and said, how I'm operating my human is not working. I'm being invited to operate my human differently. And I get to experiment. I get to fall down. I get to get it wrong. I get to make mistakes. I get to try things on for size. It's like getting a black dress, right? We try all the black dresses on and we go back to the first black dress or we go back to the second black dress. But when you put it on, you're like, oh,
this is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
This works for me.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of this isn't going to work because it was so contrarian to the way I had been operating my human.
Right.
Where I was identifying with output. My value as a human was based on how much I performed or how much I produced or how many problems I solved or how many decisions I made. And that put a lot of pressure on me. And so I ended up hanging from the tabs in my head, which a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs do, is we hang from all of the tabs in our head. Oxygen is not getting to our brain. We're not making the best decisions.
Yeah.
And so I just experimented. And what I ended up realizing is I can work half the time and produce the same results, which I did not think was possible.
Yeah.
And so now I'm writing my book. The working title is Scale and Exhale.
Oh.
Because I believe you can scale your businesses and your nervous system can go, It's safe to build. It's safe to scale. And I don't have to white knuckle and I don't have to force myself to do it. And I don't have to push through, bulldoze, and be hyper productive or hyper vigilant to do it. I can do both.
Hey, it's Isabelle from Young Boss, and if you are struggling in your business and want to talk to a consultant who's been there, done that, listen, I'm your girl. I've got consultations available right here in the show notes or on our website at theyoungbosspodcast.com. Go check it out and schedule a call so we can connect on how to improve your business, enhance your team, even scale. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm here to help you with it. Go schedule, and I look forward to talking to you. Now, back to the show. I love this. And I think it's really, in my mind, what's popping up is the conversation that so many people have been having. And I think especially over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of conversation around masculine versus feminine, right? And not just like how you act, but like just traits and how you're behaving. And I think a lot of what you were describing was screaming to me, masculine energy, right? But I think as a founder, a boss, a CEO, or whatever you are, it's hard to not feel you have to portray those things and be those things because you're in this almost role that feels designed to be that way. So I think it circles back to the combo you had with the female founder saying, no, you could be your full self. The world is not telling us that. So is this the way that we can kind of discover that and become that, even though everything around us is saying, that's not what a CEO does?
I think a lot of times we look to the external for permission. And I am just saying, you don't need permission to be a human that is also building.
Yep.
You were designed that way. You have divine DNA in every cell of your existence. You were created for a mission, for a cause, for a divine assignment, and you don't need the external to give you permission to do it. In fact, even when one day they're going to pedestal you, the next day they're going to cancel you. And so if you were going to chase a moving target, if you're waiting for the external to validate your path, we get to validate our own path. And I love what you're saying about the masculine and feminine, because I believe the human journey is an integration journey. And you and I are really good integrators.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, we both stepped into the visionary role and we've had to evolve, but we both started as integrators and built businesses from the number 2 seat. And we all have masculine and feminine in us.
Right.
And our job as an individual human is to integrate those. It's not one or the other, it's both. And we live in a world that is very divided and polarizing. And we're saying the way you're doing it is wrong and the way I'm doing it is right, which is actually inaccurate and not valid, because we need, I like to think of visionary and integrator as the visionary is the fire, the integrator is the fireplace. Or the visionary is the water. The integrator is the riverbanks.
Okay.
And we have to have both. One's not right or wrong. When they both exist together, that's where we get to have really containers for beautiful things. But if we say one's right and one's wrong, either you burn it all down or you burn out, because it's visionary ignorance on fire, you know? Or you have no fire and you're a fireplace, but nothing's getting done. You have to have both. And when I started saying to myself, I get to be fully integrated. I get to be exactly who I am. I get to build how I feel I was designed to build. And the results will speak for themselves. And if it's working or if it's not working, I can embrace those brutal facts, integrate and evolve. But I'm not going to chase an external moving target that has been known to be fickle. I'm not going to build my house on that sand.
I love this. For anyone listening who's saying, like, I really want to try this, what are those first few steps? Like, what do they do to kind of get the ball rolling and integrate this into their life?
So I'll just say what I did.
Okay.
And then what I help the leaders that I work with do. So again, if it's on the calendar, it doesn't exist. So what I started doing was putting everything that I do on the calendar.
Okay.
And I started color coding it. Green meant I loved it. It felt expansive. I felt like I was in flow. It felt really aligned for me.
Okay.
Yellow meant I was indifferent. Like I could take it or leave it, but I wasn't standing on the edge of the diving board ready to jump off, and I wasn't like in the fetal position going, I hate it. And then red was, I'm in the fetal position. I want to poke my eyeballs out. I hate this. I don't want to do it. And so I started tracking it. And I just started seeing what was green, what was yellow, what was red. And I started getting off of my plate the things that were red or yellow, or if they were things that I had to do, only I could do. Then I started shifting them to where my energy body was more aligned with that activity.
Okay.
And so I just started playing with it. And the calendar was really telling, because I could look back and be like, wow, that week produced X amount in revenue and I was in green the whole week. And that produced more revenue than me trying to do all of that work in week 1. And so it was insight and feedback for me. Okay. And so I got to play with it and then shift my entire calendar
based on that. Okay. So the first thing is adding in potentially a red, yellow, green system, a 1, 2, 3 system, a whatever system, and adding everything you're doing to the calendar. Because I think a lot of people have their meetings, they have their, big things, but they don't have and I need to write a newsletter or I need to whatever. That's like a to-do list that's separate somewhere, not a calendar item. So add it all, organize it, and then just track for a bit just to see what's working, what's not working. Should it always be, you said it was potentially tied to revenue some weeks. Should it always be tied to like a financial thing, or it can be just tied to, I felt great this week. Like I was excited to go to work this week.
I think it's based on your priorities.
Okay.
This actually question came up when I was speaking at your event. But it depends what's going on in your life. Right? When you were pregnant. your priority is to make a really juicy, comfortable womb for your baby, that maybe looks a little bit different than if you were training for a marathon. Or maybe you're in a big launch season and you're launching something. And so that's your highest priority. So you're circling everything around that priority.
Okay.
And then if you're in a December and it's like families and holidays and you really want to be at the dinner table a lot, then you're circling things around that. So it's based on what your priorities are.
Okay.
And the calendar doesn't lie.
Yeah.
It is really a reflection of what you worship. So I believe the calendar is like a cathedral, and it shows you what you value. It shows you what you worship. It shows you what your priorities are. And when you look at it with no judgment, there's no shame, no judgment in it. And you say, wow, I sat at the computer and stared at the screen for 80 hours this week, and I missed dinner with this person, or I didn't show up here, or I wasn't present for something that I say is meaningful to me, or I skipped my workouts. It's starting to show you that your energy body, what your brain is saying you value, and actually how you're spending your time are not in alignment. And it's an invitation. It's not a condemnation. It's an invitation to make a shift. And then you start making those shifts to have alignment. What the feedback is for me in my life is you actually produce more. You do get more revenue. You do have seasons where it looks like you're out of balance, but your priority is I'm doing this launch. My priority is I'm not working at all. I'm spending the whole month of August with my family. And that's okay. It's whatever the season of life you're in that is a priority for you in that season. And then you get to evolve it and shift. It's not set it and forget it. It's a living organism that evolves with you.
Okay. I love that. And that is crazy. The calendar is a cathedral. Oh my gosh, Stacy, I am feeling a lot of things need to be adjusted in my life as we're having this conversation. And hopefully everyone listening is feeling the same way too. I also want to note that I would assume the same methodology could be used for men, and it would be more throughout your day. Right? Banking. Am I doing greens in the mornings, red in the afternoon, then yellow, then back to greens, like whatever that flow is for them, they could do kind of the same thing, but instead of throughout the month, it might be over a day or two.
Yes. So I have 50-50 male-female clients.
Okay.
And men do it just the same as women. Women just can see it over a 28-day cycle, where men are more like some men are really great in the morning and they're early birds and they do all of their creative, they're right, they do all of it, that kind of stuff in the morning. Some are night owls where they want to put the kids to bed, and then from 9 to midnight or whatever is when they really have their creative time. Knowing yourself is key. This is something you can't outsource. And I think a lot of us have been trained or conditioned or programmed to say, oh, let's just do the miracle morning, or, oh, let's just do whatever the protocol is that the scientists say we should do.
Best,
Well, sometimes my body doesn't want a cold blood. It doesn't. It doesn't feel good to me. And then there's other times where, yes, that's exactly what I want. And so I get to learn my body and I don't have to outsource that. So this is taking back our sovereignty.
It's really actually kind of so beautiful. And I think that we just don't talk about this in business. And it's just starting to become something, like we said in the beginning, in the fitness world, where I think people are starting to take note and say, okay, what feels best for me? When am I most, when do I feel the strongest? When do I feel like I just need to sit in my body and stretch and do this and do that? But I think that this transition to the business world, I really feel like you're ahead of your game on this, because I don't think people are going to pick this up or even understand this for the next 10, 15 years. But I really do see this becoming a huge major thing as we're having this pendulum swing to being more natural and connecting with ourselves, and saying the way we're operating as a society, as humans, is not working. Like, there's way too many people getting sick, like yourself. And I agree. I feel like every time something's unaligned in my life, I'm like prone to hives. So I'm like hives immediately when I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing, whether it's work, relationship, anything. And I'm like, oh, the body keeps score. Like, it's telling me something, you know? So I think it's really cool. I think it's amazing. Any tips that we should share with everyone listening?
I want to share a story really quickly, if I can, because what you just said about being ahead of the curve, I think is very valid. So I was just doing a 3-day with an 8-figure client.
Okay.
And they had done 3 days with EOS previously.
Okay.
And at the end of the 3-day, the leadership team asked, what made this 3-day so much more productive? And they said, I get to the root very quickly. And in my own reflection of scaling businesses, it's when we focus on revenue, KPIs, right people, right seats, accountability charts, scorecards, but we don't consider the human, that I've gotten it wrong. Or I've not so much wrong, but I've missed the mark. But somebody can only see you to the extent that they've seen themselves. So my depth of work on being trapped in my own $1 million business as a visionary and saying, wow, now I know what it feels like to be the visionary. I am a systems person, so I can map it. And then I mapped it and said, this is the playbook to how to get untrapped from the visionary seat. You don't just need an operating system and a trained number 2, but you actually need to know how to shift your energy body as a leader, which we don't talk about.
No.
And we use the DISC profile. I know you guys use the PI.
Yeah.
I can measure on the DISC profile a leader's alignment. I can see it before I ever meet them.
Wow.
And because of that, you can actually help guide them back into alignment. And when they're in alignment is what scaled their business to begin with. Is because they were in alignment, they were an abundant thinking. They're like, oh, it's fine. I'll launch the podcast. I'll write the book. I'll go on stage. I'll create this offer. I'll do this thing. And it was really just pure fire, and I'll figure it out as I go. And they did. And they figured it out so well that revenue came and clients came and opportunity came.
Yeah.
And then the pressure started mounting on them and they forgot who they were.
Wow.
And then when they forgot who they were, they felt like they had all of these open loops, but they couldn't fulfill on all of them.
Yeah.
And so they started doubting themselves, and trust started breaking down, and trust is what scaled the thing to begin with. And so we have to restore self-trust. And when we do that, we restore team trust, and then team trust creates tribe trust, and that's how you scale. And so this is going to be the difference maker. I fully believe that.
Yes.
Because you can't scale chaos. You can only scale trust.
Yeah, I love that. I really do think maybe this is a whole new angle of everything you do. I know last time you came on the show, you talked about Organized to Scale and your amazing business working with visionaries and integrators and being that voice to kind of bring everyone together. I do want to give a little plug for that business. Share with us what you do and how people can reach out to you.
Yeah, so Organized to Scale is twofold. So originally, Organized to Scale was just installing the systems and training your number 2. And that worked until the visionary does what the visionary does, which is shiny penny syndrome, squirrels, new idea, and they start disrupting the system.
Yep.
And so it's twofold. One is the calendar code, which is the systems and how to take your idea, turn it into execution plans, put it on the calendar, and train your team to get up every day and do what's on the calendar. That's the calendar code. In parallel to that is now all the lessons I got from being trapped as my own visionary, which is the sacred shift. Going from white knuckling your business to sitting in the sacred seat of leadership and empowering and trusting your team to run it and knowing what your highest value is and putting all of your effort into that without getting trapped in what I call business codependency, where your identity is and when revenue's up, I'm good. When revenue's down, I'm not good.
Yeah.
When the team's happy, I'm happy. When they're not happy, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
When the clients are giving rave reviews, I feel good. When they're not, I feel inadequate. Separating that, getting them back into the seat of the sacred, those two in parallel allow companies to really scale.
Wow. I think that it's just amazing what you've been able to do and kind of incorporate so much of the human into the business element, because I do think that there's so many amazing systems, but all of them are just doing that, stopping at the systems. And they're like, well, this is the system. If it doesn't work, you're the problem, you know? And it's like, no, what you're saying is true. You are the problem, but let's figure out why and go further than just this business, this one issue. Let's dig deeper. And I'm assuming that this actually gives a lot of your visionaries and business leaders a boom in the rest of their life. I always say this, I'm like, things I've learned in therapy have helped me so much in business, even though I'm not there for business, you know, and vice versa. Things I learned in business help me in my personal life because I'm like, wow, this is not who I want to be, you know? So I think it's just the whole human working on them. And that's really how we can be our best selves and show up in the way we want to as bosses.
Yeah. Zig Ziglar says, you don't build a business, you build people, and people build the business. And when we forget that, we think it is the system only.
Yeah.
But it's the human executing on the system.
Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you for being here, sharing all of your wisdom. If people want to find you or reach out to you, where can they find you?
They can go to stacygray.com. That's Stacy with an I, Gray with an A.com, all over Instagram too.
Perfect. We will drop it in the show notes. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Isabelle.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Young Boss with your host, Isabelle Burino. Be sure to like, share, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, your youth is your power.